Hello, today I'm going to show you how using unexpected embellishment clusters can really bring your story to life. Hello everyone, it's Kerry and welcome to Piece of Paper. Today we're going to be doing a scrapbook layout of Leila's 14th birthday, and I want to use this turtley sweet paper. I've used a very small amount of it for another project, but other than that it's not been cut into yet. So I've laid all the papers out so we can have a little bit of a look at them, but I am planning to include some of this one with the birthday cake on it, because other than that I'm not exactly sure what I want to use, because I'm generally stay away from these kind of big picture kind of designs, but I think this one with some cake we can use in small portions. So the back side of this is this crushed curry with the musical notes. Then we've got some beekeepers, which we won't use, but I do really like this striped paper, which is what I used some of that there before. We won't be using any of these scenes, I don't imagine. Maybe the spotty paper, although it hasn't really got much green in. We might want to use greens, I'm not sure yet. This one has like a holiday vibe or vacation vibe for my viewers across the pond. Then we've got sort of a plain stripe, picnics and penny farthings. I do really like this one, although it is quite obviously turtley. This is a musical one, and then I do also like this pretty peacock one, which, although it's quite vibrant, it's all quite monotone, so I think that will work quite well together. And the turtle with the balloon, he's got that pretty peacock shell, which I think this paper has quite a lot of pretty peacocks, so we'll possibly use some of that one. Then this is my planned layout for the photos. It's obviously Leila opening her presents. We went out for dinner, and then we went and did an escape room with some of her besties, and Sky and her besties, they came along and went bowling with Dad at the same time. So I quite like how this is kind of going up like that. And Jama Malmi had actually done a layout sketch a few months back where there was a sort of stripe that went diagonally across. So I'm thinking that's what I'm going to use as a foundation here. So I'm going to move these away and start cutting some papers and seeing what we think looks good with the photos. We're going to use the lines on my cutting mat to help us work out how we're going to cut these pieces, and I think I need to get two different papers and make the exact same cut across the two, and then we'll swap the parts over, and then we should get the line that goes through the middle. So I've lined this up at number 14 because that then gives me about 8 or 9 centimeters either side, so that we're not going from corner to corner, because I feel like on the A4 format that would be too extreme. So we're going to use this 30-degree line. So I'm just going to mark it here and here, and then we can use the paper cutter and try and line up those two marks on across the cutting board. There we go, that looks good. Right. So we'll have turtles here and turtles here, and then we now need to figure out what paper we're going to use for it. I think it needs to be something fairly low key. did wonder whether something like this might work. No. I'm just trying to find something that coordinates without having a white background. See, that might work because of the balloons. Let's pop that in and have a look. There's this watery paper, which is actually from the Utterly Adorable, which looks like it goes quite nicely because it sort of picks out the balloons and this little party hat collar. A couple of others that I've got from Turtley Sweet are this one that I mentioned that I really like. Tuck that in here. So we could do that. Or I've also pulled in the really green. Okay, no, definitely not that one. Definitely not that one. So I think what I'm thinking, maybe we do this one. Let's give this a cut and see what we think. And mark these pieces off here. And then we cut them again on the trimmer. Okay, let's lay these out and see what we've got. It's weird how this turtle paper doesn't have a right way up. The turtles are all the strange directions, whichever way you put it. I think we're going to want that to carry on. Let's just bring the photos in and see where we're at. These are the left-hand pictures. And I wanted to leave space at the top there for a title. 7 pictures. We've got something like that. I think we're going to want the paper to go the whole way across, so I'm going to cut a couple more triangles to fit here and here. I've got crushed curry, cherry cobbler, balmy blue and black, and let's have a look at these behind some of the photos. So start with the yellow. I don't really see that really strong crushed curry colour in any of the photos, so I'm going to try the lighter side. It's fine, but it's not doing anything particularly special. Then got this nice red. If only she'd had her school tie on that day. Not you. Yeah, I mean, I think I like the red more. Let's try the balmy blue. Do you want the lighter one? No, I think we'll go for the stronger one. Oh, and look how different those pictures look now. It's crazy the difference between that and the yellow. I had been thinking maybe if we don't map the photos in red, maybe then we could use red for the title, which could be quite nice. And then we've got a black. And I think that's too heavy. I mean, obviously it won't be as much black as the whole piece. Or do we try double matting them? If we did the black and then the turquoisey, the balmy blue, that could be nice. Yeah, I'm going to cut a few out here of the black and the balmy blue and have a look. So I've just done one example here. Obviously I have to trim that if we go with it. So that's them just on the black. Which I think it's a bit heavy. If we try on the double mat. Still kind of heavy. So how about if we just do the balmy blue? Yeah, I like that better. So I'm going to cut mats out for everything in this balmy blue. And then I'm also going to stick down these papers to a base sheet so that they're not sliding around the place everywhere. Everything's inked up. The background is stuck down. I've placed the photos where I want them to go. Now I'm going to start sticking them down. I'm thinking we'll do the title here, and then we'll probably have embellishments here, here and here. So I've got my T-square ruler, and I'm going to start here with this largest photo. I've just sped this up so you don't have to spend too long watching me stick all the photos down. You'll notice that I use my T-square ruler as I'm leveling everything up to keep it all nice and straight. I did consider keeping these last two together on a single mat, but I changed my mind and kept them separately in the end. Okay, I'm pleased with that. Funny how it's just two different paper types, but doing that diagonal really has brought it quite to life. I like the thin inking, so you've got that bit of black across the photos without the heaviness of it being a card mat. And then the balmy blue brings those two papers together really nicely. I'm going to go now and have a think about title and embellishments, and we'll be back. I'm going to make a bag for the bottom right hand corner here to be the basis of this embellishment cluster, and I'm using Stampin' Up's Notes and Totes set. So I've cut out the main shape of the bag in crumb cake, and I've got this wicker texture embossing folder which I'm going to put the bag through to give it the wicker texture. And here we are with the texture from the embossing folder. So now I'm just going to go through and fold it, ready to give the shape of the bag. When you do the embossing folder, it is a bit tricky to maintain the lines from the die, but I just put the die back in and pressed the die against the embossed shape just to re-emphasize where the lines were. So you can see they're working fairly well. And then at the bottom, to fold this one in, and then just along here at the bottom, you see the line there. We'll probably cut that bit off because we're not actually making a three-dimensional bag, and we'll be popping this down here. I've moved my layout out of the way, and now I'm going to start putting the bits and pieces together to build the tote bag. First off, I'm just working out where the two vertical straps need to go. I want to obviously make sure that they're nice and lined up with the handles that get attached to the top. I have to hold each bit down for a few seconds because of the texture of the embossed paper means there's less for the glue to stick to. So the handle's attached now, and now I'm putting on the little gold badge that looks a little bit Prada according to Sky. And then I'm just going to go ahead now and attach the bottom piece, the base of the bag there. Then I'll just fold the flaps in, ready to stick in. I have prepared a bunch of my embellishments now, and I'm going to go and start sticking them in. So I've made these circles using the Spotlight on Nature dies. I decided just to go for a happy birthday for the title, and I'm going to put that in up here. So let's make a start with that. I've left this Y sticking up because it's just going to go slightly over onto the photo itself, so we can put some glue on there when we're ready. Oh, that's what I want, my spatula. Just going to tuck in slightly on the side and the bottom, and then a little bit of glue, these bits here. Over on this right hand side I've got another Spotlight on Nature die that I'm going to push in under that photo there. So I'm going to need my spatula to lift it up to enable us to get there. Right, hopefully that will be enough. I've done a little bit of granny apple green shading behind each of these, because especially this one, it was quite large. This is a bit of a more green on that one than that one, but I've made this set of 3 presents from the little die set that I've got that cuts out presents with really cute bows. I've used the gold foil paper for that, and then we're going to stick these in around here, and hopefully we'll cover up some of the excessive green. Yeah, got our 3 presents here, just going over the edge of the photo and over the edge of the circles. Yeah, I really like that. That's good. Coming along nicely. And then, because even though I'm going to do this bag, I felt we needed a 3rd circle, so I just made this like a little birthday rosette, and I'm just going to pop that down here. It's just a tiny little something to bring the circles across. So I just thought that would go nicely there, and unintentionally, but I have just noticed, covers up the fact that Sky was randomly wearing odd bed socks. So now you won't notice that. And that captures in there, got 14. And I've used the same stamp for Leila 14 and Ahoy over here, which I know might seem a bit random, but I'll come to that. So trying to pull the eye across with the same colours and the same stamp set for the fonts. So in here now, you probably can detect a bit of a pirate theme. And I didn't want to go OTT with this, but the escape room that we did was actually this one here, Captain Blackheart's Curse. So I wanted to just have a little nod down in this bottom right hand corner to the pirateness without it kind of overtaking everything. So here's the bag that we made before, and I'm just going to put tape runner along the flaps. I'm just going to do that off the side here so that I don't get tape runner on my pattern paper, and then I'm trying to still leave this birthday cake turtle over here. So I think we'll go here like this with the bag. And the bag should open up so we can put our various bits and pieces inside, but I want it to be quite flat because that's too much dimension. So I did a little ahoy, pulling in that balmy blue colour like a little magazine. We've got a scroll that was just a stamp I had, and I've cut that out on a parchment style paper, not like baking parchment, but old-fashioned parchment that I used years ago for birthday party invitations for the children. But I keep it handy because it turns up useful once in a while. So I wasn't quite sure which way my flags were going to go, so these were a print and cut on my silhouette, and I have a flagpole to pop those on. Then I wanted to have something red and white stripes because obviously that's kind of stereotypically pirate, and it would be bringing that red down to this corner here. So I've cut these out in 3 different directions so we can see which one we like best. And then also on my silhouette, I've made a little pirate's hat, which apparently I need my pickup tool to get the top bit for. It's like a tricorn hat, and that just goes in there. It just gives you the shape of the top. So we'll stick those together. So I think we've got our ahoy and the scroll, and then I think the flag needs to go more in the background. Might just ink around the edges of this because it has got quite a white edge on it as it's cut. So that could be kind of hanging out the side there. And then can we sort of fit the hat here? Yeah, something like that. We'll have to fiddle a little bit, but the hat's a bit tricky in that you have to look at it from the right angle to tell what it is, so I don't want that to be covered up. So let's ink around the edge of the magazine and the flag. So got my black ink for all that. Going around on the edge. And this is from the Notes and Totes, this magazine. And it cuts it out in 3 pieces. But I've just, I stuck the balmy blue on the back to bring that. And that was just a stamp that I had in my stash. Which actually, I think it's from the same set as the scroll. Kind of like a message in a bottle type theme. I go ahead and ink up around the edges of both the scroll and the pirate flag. I think that's looking a lot better. I might just grab my scissors because there's a couple of little white bits that could do with trimming off there. First up, I think we're going to go for the magazine, and we want this sticking out quite a bit so you can see there's a palm tree in there, but just don't want it taking over everything. Maybe kind of there. And then I think we'll do the flag next. And I'm going to put glue on this because I'm going to need to line it up with its flagpole. So we might need to move it around a smidge. So kind of here-ish, I think we said. We'll not stick that down too much. Do the flagpole now. Come on, in we go. there-ish. You just pull the flag over, line it up with its flagpole. There we go. Right, so now we've got the scroll and the hat. So the scroll needs to go this way because its strings are hanging down. And I had the hat over this side before, but I'm wondering whether maybe the scroll goes there. And then we can sort of rest the hat in the top, something like that. I think basically the hat needs to be barely inside in order that you can see what it is. Right, so a bit of glue for our scroll. I'm going to have that over towards the flagpole, but I don't want it completely covering up the flagpole. So maybe like that. Then we need to go on and get the pirate hat stuck into the bag as well. So just putting some glue on it there at the moment. And then as I take it over, what I'm focusing on is trying not to put it too deeply into the bag, because I think you need to be able to see most of it to be able to work out what exactly it's supposed to be. Then I get some glue and fill in the hole, and I'll use my pickup tool to just pick up that little brown oval that goes in to mark the top of the hat. And then that's everything inside our tote bag. So next up, I'm going to get that stripy red and white pirate bandana that we're going to fasten to the tote bag as a purse scarf. I chose the one with the diagonal stripes in the angle that I want to put it, because I think that looks the best. So now I'm going to put glue onto the back of the scarf, and again, because I'm sticking things here to the front of the bag where there's that texture from the embossing, needs quite a bit of glue. So I'm just going to position the scarf in place, making sure to attach it around the handle, because obviously that's how a scarf would be tied to the tote bag. At this point, I notice that the bag is hanging open a bit more than I would like, so I decided to get a couple of dimensionals and tuck them in under the bag to keep it closed, but obviously still retaining a bit of the three-dimensional shape. You'll see I grab my tweezers to pull the backing off the dimensionals, because I find that really works for me. So once we've got the bag stuck down, I then notice that the handle is still sticking up a bit more than I would like as well. So I just get some glue and pop that in underneath the handle, hold that there for a few seconds to get the handle stuck down. And then that's our tote bag finished. And the only thing left to do for the layout now is to put on some bling. When selecting the colours for my dots, I went back to the colours that I was originally considering for the photo mats. So I choose yellow, red and black. And then I put odd numbers of those around each of the clusters, although I'm counting the title as a cluster for the way that this worked out. So for the two clusters on the right hand page, they each get 3 dots, one of each colour, and I pop a big red one over the knot of that scarf just to bring it even more to life. And then I go back to the title where I decide that 3 dots hasn't been quite enough. So I end up adding a couple more dots onto that title circle. So we end up with 5 there, 2 red, 2 yellow, and 1 of the blacks. So now I'm going to pick the layout up for you to have a closer look at some of the details. So first off, looking at that circle with the title in, and you'll see the dots and the die cut and the stamping. And then moving down to that little rosette I made with the number 14 on, just to bring those 3 photos together. Then on the right hand side, there are the 2 clusters, the first one being the one with the 3 presents, and you'll see the dots now added in around there. And then obviously the bottom one is our pirate bag, where we've got all the goodies that a pirate might need. I'm trying to tilt the bag here so you can see the reflection of the gold little Prada style logo on the bag. It's not very easy to catch though. Oh, there we go. So that's us done for today. Hope you've enjoyed this layout with me. If you've liked it, give it a like. Tell me down in the comments if you've ever put a strange combination of embellishments onto your layout. And if you're interested in seeing my next layout, which is going to combine mocktails with Star Wars, come back and see me again. Thank you. Bye-bye.